Chapter 2. The chapter about heedfulness. The heedful attain Nibbana. King Udena had two queens, Sammavati, who was a follower of the Buddha, and Magandiya, who was spurned by the Buddha. Out of jealousy, Magandiya brought about the destruction of Sammavati and her 500 followers, all of whom had attained stages of awakening. Magandiya and her family, who were full of defilements, were put to death by the king. When what had happened was reported to the Buddha, he spoke these verses about them. 21. Heedfulness is the deathless state. Heedlessness is the state of the dead. The heedful do not die, but those who are heedless are as if dead. 22. The wise, fully understanding this in regard to heedfulness, rejoice in heedfulness, delight in the domain of noble ones. 23. Those who meditate all the time, constant and firm in their effort, those wise ones will reach Nibbana, the unsurpassed release from bonds. The fame of the good increases. Upāsikā was a rich man's son who escaped his afflicted household during a plague. Later, he disguised himself as a poor man and worked for his living, but was recognized by the king, who honored him and gave him his daughter in marriage. When he heard the story, the Buddha spoke this verse about him. 24. For he who is active, mindful, pure in deeds and considerate, self-controlled, living by Dhamma, heedful, fame greatly increases. The intelligent make an island. When Venerable Kulapandaka could not remember even 4 lines of verse after 3 months trying, the Buddha asked him to rub a white cloth, which subsequently became soiled and gave him initial insight into impermanence. The Buddha then taught him that the mind is also defiled and must be cleansed, and he soon attained deliverance, after which the Buddha spoke this verse about him. 25. Through activity, heedfulness, through self-control and through restraint, the sage should make an island that no floodwaters can overcome. Heedfulness is our greatest wealth. During a 7-day festival of fools in Savatthi, the people used to go around insulting and disrespecting everyone they met. The Buddha's supporter asked him to stay at the monastery for the duration, and they sent alms food there. This is the teaching the Buddha gave them when it was over. 26. Foolish, stupid people cultivate heedlessness. The sage guards heedfulness, just as his greatest wealth. 27. Do not cultivate heedlessness. Do not take delight in pleasure. The heedful one, meditating, surely attains great happiness. The heedful stand on heights. Venerable Mahakassapa, after collecting his alms food, sat in meditation and tried to understand in all its breadth the rising and falling away of living beings. The Buddha advised him that only Buddhas have such thorough knowledge, and then he spoke this verse. 28. When the wise one eliminates heedlessness with his heedfulness and mounts the palace of wisdom, grieveless, he looks on grieving people. The wise one, like one standing on a mountain, looks down on the fools who are standing on the plains. The heedful speed ahead. 2 monks were given a meditation subject by the Buddha. One spent his time on monastic duties like sweeping, while the other was diligent and became an arhat. After the rain's retreat, The Buddha commended him and spoke this verse about him. 29. Heedful amongst the heedless ones, wakeful amongst the ones who sleep. Like a swift horse who abandons a weak horse, the true sage moves on. Heedfulness is praised. Prince Makka did good works in his village and inspired 33 others to join him. Later, they were reborn as Sakka and his company. The Buddha spoke this verse explaining what had happened. 30. Through heedfulness did Makkava attain leadership of the gods. The good always praise heedfulness, but heedlessness is always blamed. Heedfulness consumes the fetters. A monk was given a meditation subject, but could make no progress, so he determined to return to the Buddha. On his way, he saw a great fire burn down a forest, and the Buddha appeared to him and taught him with this verse. 31. A monastic who delights in heedfulness, seeing danger in heedlessness, advances like fire against the fetter, small or large. The heedful are close to Nibbana. Nikamavasi Tissa lived near Savatthi, and after he ordained, he only went to his local village for alms. The monks blamed him, but the Buddha praised him for being frugal and content, and spoke this verse praising his way of life. 32. A monastic who delights in heedfulness, seeing danger in heedlessness, does not fall away, he is well nigh to Nibbana.